Welcome back to Next You podcast, you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. So, as I'm recording this, it's actually New Year's Eve, which this was not something I had planned on doing tonight, but I like to take advantage of when I'm like dressed up, when I'm feeling good, when I'm liking my hair for the day, whatever it might be. I like to take advantage of those moments and come down here and record. It's also just not a traditional New Year's Eve for us. It's more of a restful New Year's Eve. We have this tradition where my husband and I take our parents out for hibachi together. So we've done that and we're back home with Augie and we're just having a chill family night in. And I'm not going to lie, it feels really good. My whole goal going into the new year is I want to feel restful and grounded and relaxed. And that's part of the reason I came down here to record also is because that's the whole topic for today's episode. So I just want to dive right in. I don't want to waste a lot of time. Also want to make a note that we are 2 episodes away from hitting episode 100, which feels like a really big deal for me. You guys, we're getting into the triple digits for the podcast. That's freaking huge. Okay. If you look at stats for podcasters who make it this far, it's not very high, especially like being consistent with it. So it feels like an honor to be able to say I'm hitting episode 100. Stay tuned for that episode when it comes out. There will be a giveaway that I'm doing with it. So if you want to put your name in the hat for the giveaway, then make sure you listen to it. I have something fun up my sleeve for that. Okay, let's dive right into why we're here today. I want to apologize ahead of time because I am feeling really stuffy today. On our way home from supper, it's like I just started feeling really like nasally, like stuffed up. You could probably hear it, or maybe it's just me. I feel like in my head I sound weird. That's all it is, but it's probably not super noticeable. It's probably just me. All right. So the whole goal and what I want to talk to you guys about today is I want to help you guys understand why you might be stuck in this constant state of stress or hustle mode. And I want to give you guys practical tools that can actually help you regulate your nervous system and that can help you to embrace more grounded rest. Can also give you, and I also want to give you tools to help you through like the identity work that I believe is required to make rest and grounded your new normal, not just like a temporary practice. Okay, let's just dive in. So, if your body is constantly feeling like it's in this fight or flight state, if rest feels impossible for you or even just like uncomfortable for you, that's probably because you are addicted to the hustle and you don't know what it looks or feels like to slow down. So today's episode might be exactly what you need to help you rewire your brain, your thoughts around what you thought you knew about productivity, about worth, and what it actually means to be successful. Full transparency, I used to wear stress like a badge of honor. I thought being busy meant I was important, meant I was somebody. I used to think being exhausted meant I was working hard, doing important things. But really, all I was doing was destroying my nervous system and my life, ultimately. So, not a good thing. Today's episode is not about adding more to your plate. It's not. Today's episode is about fundamentally changing how you operate so that your new normal gets to be that grounded, regulated rest. So that can be your baseline moving forward, not the alternative, the hustle mode, the constant grinding. We want your new normal to be that grounded, regulated state. So I also want to say that if I'm describing you, you're not alone. You're not a unicorn. You're actually a part of the majority. So many people are stuck in this stress and hustle mode. So many people. I used to be one of them. And it's not your fault, okay? Society has conditioned us and has glorified the work grind, rewarding things like burnout, and has really conditioned us to believe that rest means we're lazy. I hear this from my husband all the time. It's gotten better, but he used to constantly apologize for taking time to rest. he used to always say, sorry, I'm being lazy. And I would stop him and I would say, you're not being lazy. This is called balance. You worked 40 hours this week. You deserve a day of just laying on the couch. It's called balance. But he thinks he has to apologize for being lazy because society has conditioned us to believe that. You hear phrases like rise and grind, sleep when you're dead, no days off. Those are signs that we are conditioned to think that rest is a bad thing. We've literally been taught that our self-worth is tied to our productivity. That was my problem when I first opened my private practice. I thought the more productive I was, the more successful I would be. Therefore, my worth was higher. So we never stop. When we tie our worth to our productivity, we never stop. It's a real problem. What I want to point out to you guys is when you're constantly stressed, your body is stuck in the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight state. It's in that activation state. So historically, what this meant for like cavemen back in the day when they were in that sympathetic nervous system activation state, it meant they were in danger. It meant that there was a chance of them dying. Maybe they were being chased by a tiger or an animal that could kill them. That's what that state in their body meant. But now, bringing it back to today's world, if you're living in that constant state of fight or flight, your brain, because this is how they are hardwired, your brain believes it's being chased by a tiger 24/7. I mean, metaphorically speaking, obviously, but your brain thinks you're constantly in danger of death. Even you might just be like sitting at your desk or scrolling your phone. But if you're in that fight or flight state, that's what your brain thinks. That is so messed up. This state, this fight or flight state was designed to be temporary so that you knew you needed to take yourself out of danger. But like I said, most people now, they live in that state all the time, 24/7. And we're going to get into this, but that is so bad for your body. You guys, it's so bad. There is a cost to living in this state long term. Some of the costs from this are adrenal fatigue. That used to be a problem I had. Burnout. I've literally had burnout from every job I've had. Not happening anymore though. Anxiety, insomnia, digestive issues, a weak immune system. Those are some signs of being in that state of chronic stress long term. Okay. You also probably feel disconnected from your body. Therefore, you're disconnected from your intuition and you're probably disconnected from experiencing genuine joy as well, which is sad. You're probably living in survival mode when instead you could be living in a thriving mode every day. How fucking great would that be? What I want you guys to understand is you cannot create, you can't heal, and you can't grow if you are constantly functioning from that dysregulated nervous system. You just can't. You can't heal, you can't create, you can't grow. You literally can only survive. That's all your brain can do is focus on how to survive day in and day out. And let me tell you, survival is not the same thing as living. It's not. Far from it. So I want to explain to you guys what nervous system regulation actually means in case this is a new term for some of you. When I say nervous system regulation, what it is it's the ability to move fluidly between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic states. So sympathetic state for the nervous system is that alert state, that active state, whereas the parasympathetic state for the nervous system is when you're resting, when you're digesting, when you're healing. And nervous system regulation is literally being able to move between the two in a healthy manner. And really, you should be spending most of your time in that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest and healing state. But there are two branches. These are like two branches of a tree. Sympathetic being when you're functioning from that fight or flight state, and then the parasympathetic is the rest and digest state. If you're in the sympathetic state, this is literally designed for just short bursts of action. It's useful, but only in short time frames. It's useful like during times of emergencies, because then you're more likely to respond in a better way. But it can be destructive when it becomes a chronic condition, like you're experiencing it long term. The parasympathetic, so that rest and digest state, you are functioning from this state when you're healing, when you're tapping into creativity, when you're digesting. You have good immune function in this state. You experience more joy in this state. This is literally where we're supposed to live most of our life. Okay. This is what you should be striving for. But the problem is most people are stuck in sympathetic in today's world. And they really only dip into parasympathetic when they're sleeping. And that's only if they sleep well. That's only if they're getting REM sleep. That's backwards. That's not how we should be living our lives. Your goal should be to train your body to make that default state the parasympathetic state, to make that calm, grounded, and rested state your new baseline. Because I'd be willing to bet your current baseline is hustle mode, stress, and overwhelm most of the time. If I'm wrong, call me out on it. I want to focus on nervous system regulation. Nervous system regulation does not have to be a luxury. It actually should be a necessity if you want to thrive in life, if you want to create, if you want to show up as your best self, then we need to embrace regulation more often. And some people think, okay, I just need to work more rest days into my schedule. No, that's not right either. That's like such a small piece of the puzzle, because the trap that most people fall into is that they know they need rest. So they might like take a day off here or there, or they'll take a vacation or a weekend away. But then when they come back from those breaks, from that day off, from that vacation, or from that weekend, they fall immediately back into that stress and overwhelm mode, that hustle mode. So really nothing has changed for them. And this happens because they're looking at rest and why this happens is because rest isn't just a behavior that we do, you guys. It's an identity that we take on. So if your identity is, I'm someone who hustles, who's always busy, who earns my worth through doing, then for you, rest is always going to feel temporary. It's always going to feel uncomfortable. And it might even make you feel guilt. Like it might be guilt inducing for you. And if this is hitting a bone for you, then keep listening. You need this. Okay. I've come to feel very strongly about this because I've done the work on this myself. I'm no longer somebody who has that identity of functioning from hustle mode. But there is a lot of identity, well, not a lot, but there is identity work that is required. You cannot just practice rest. You can't just schedule it into your life. You actually have to become someone who is grounded, who is regulated, who is at peace most of the time. And that peace, that peaceful state is the default state. You guys, that is a state that more often than not, I now function from. And I'm not bragging when I say that. I'm sharing that because it took work for me to get here. But until you rewire your subconscious to believe that rest is productive, that rest is powerful, and that rest is your birthright, then you're just going to keep defaulting back to that stress and hustle state. And again, that's not doing good things for your body. And I really want to make sure you understand this isn't just about taking more bubble baths, though. Let's be honest, sometimes those are nice. It's about fundamentally changing who you believe you are and what you believe you deserve. If you don't believe that you deserve rest, then we need to do some identity work. Okay. Rest is not something you earned. It is a birthright. Okay. And some of the most powerful shifts for me have happened when I have embraced this new normal. Okay. I want to give you guys some practical tools that can really help you to regulate your nervous system so that healing and creativity and peace can be your new baseline. Don't you want that? I mean, you should really want that. So let's walk through some of these practices and talk about how you could incorporate these into your life, okay? Because ultimately the goal is that we want to move from that state of stress into that state of regulation, okay? The first one I'm going to talk about is breath work. I got into breath work for the first time a little over a year ago, you guys, and it has been life-changing for me. I literally, it's an addiction. Like I love how my body reacts to breath work. I'm not just talking about sitting and breathing. There's actual breath work facilitators out there. And if you've never scheduled a breath work session, highly recommend you do it. It is so freaking powerful, you guys. Breathwork is actually the fastest way to signal safety to your nervous system. It's the fastest way. You can practice this on your own without a facilitator if you want. The easiest one would be box breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and then do it all over again. Or you can even do like extended exhales. So you inhale for 4, exhale for like 6 or 8 seconds. You could play around with that a little bit. I would model it for you right now, you guys, but with being so stuffed up, it's not going to look pretty. But that's something you can practice without a facilitator. But why this works is because what breath work does is it slows your breathing down, which is what activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is where that fight or flight gets stored. And when you slow your breathing and activate that vagus nerve, it shifts you into that parasympathetic state where we should want to be. Another tool is grounding techniques. So anything that grounds you, like focusing on your 5 senses, going outside, walking barefoot, anything that grounds you, it helps you get out of your head and back into your physical body. We need this, especially if you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed. We need more of these grounding tools. So again, walking barefoot on the earth, lying on the ground, holding something cold like an ice cube or an ice pack. And why this works is it literally anchors you in the present moment. It takes your mind off of what you're doing next. It takes your mind off of what you were just doing, brings it back to that present moment. And it reminds your body that it's safe. That's key, because if you've been functioning from that hustle mode, it doesn't believe your body does not feel safe. Another tool that you could incorporate is somatic movement. So somatic movement is just gentle, intentional movement that releases stored stress and tension in the body. So things like yoga, stretching, shaking, dancing, or really just any kind of slow movement that feels good to your body. Okay. This works because trauma and stress live in the body. So any kind of movement releases that stored trauma, releases that stored stress. So consider some kind of a somatic movement that actually feels good for you. Okay. I prefer yoga. That's just me. I also really like dancing. Another tool is what is called vagus nerve activation. So again, the vagus nerve, I don't know if I explained this before, but the vagus nerve is the highway between your brain and your body. It literally controls your rest and digest response. So practices that can activate your vagus nerve are things like humming, singing, gargling, splashing cold water on your face, gentle neck stretches. These things work because what they do is they stimulate the vagus nerve, which then tells your body, hey, it's safe to relax. Just want you to know. Those are really easy practices, you guys. You can literally put cold water on your face every time you go to the bathroom if you're not worried about your makeup coming off. So any kind of vagus nerve activation is really good for your nervous system. Another tool is just intentional rest. I'm not talking about sleep, not just sleep, but because rest is not solely about sleeping more. When I say rest, what I'm meaning is building more moments of like active rest into your day. Things like sitting in silence, lying down unplugged without your phone, without any electronics, taking a slow walk, preferably unplugged, staring out the window, just taking in the scene. Okay. Those practices are equivalent to intentional rest. And why they work is they literally train your body to believe that rest is safe, that rest is normal, and that rest is allowed. And that's ultimately, if you've been functioning from a hustle state 98% of the time, your body needs to be trained to believe that it's safe and normal and allowed to be in silence. Okay. 2 more tools. Another one is healthy boundaries and saying no. So unfortunately, in today's world, we tend to overcommit ourselves. And if you are somebody that tends to overcommit yourself, then you're probably functioning from stress mode more often than not, which means you're not protecting your energy. And you should want to protect your energy fiercely, you guys. That should be at the top of your to-do list. What can I take off my calendar? What can I say no to more often? In this past year, I started saying no to certain social gatherings, to certain things outside of my home, especially if I knew that they put me into that fight or flight state, or especially if it was certain people that put me into that fight or flight state. I didn't care what others thought. I was doing what was best for my body. So sometimes, yes, I had to say no to certain social outings, social gatherings that did not feel good for my body. And what that did for me in the long run was I bought time back. I had more time to do what I actually wanted to do. And I would say it strengthened relationships in my life as well, like the really, really strong ones. So practice saying no to things that you feel drain you. Best thing I've ever done for myself is start doing that. Literally guard your calendar. Literally schedule in downtime, and you're going to protect that time fiercely. If somebody asks you to do something during that time, sorry, I've already got something. It's called me time. And you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. All they have to know is you've got something else going on. You don't have to explain yourself. If you think you have to explain yourself, that's a whole nother problem. We're not going to get into that today. But you need to start prioritizing downtime and spaciousness in your calendar because you're giving your body that gift of peace and calmness and grounded energy. And why it's important to have healthy boundaries and start saying no more is because your nervous system cannot regulate if you are constantly overwhelmed, if you are constantly going from point A to point B to point C to point D. There's no time for peace, okay? Even if one of those things is a really great connection with someone, you're still on the go constantly. You're still going, which is not protecting your peace, okay? You don't want to be in that constant overwhelmed state. That is not good for your body. The final tool I want to give you is gratitude and safety cues. Literally, we need to train our brains to look for evidence that you are safe, that you are supported, and that you are okay. So when you're on your morning walk, look around, look for evidence that proves you're safe, that proves you're supported, that proves you're okay. One easy way of doing this is daily gratitude. I do it every single morning. Another way, noticing moments of ease or celebrating small wins in your day. Those are easy practices that you don't have to make time for. Fit in while you're driving to work in the morning or while you're on your morning walk. And why these things work is because your brain cannot be stressed and grateful at the same time. The two cannot coexist, you guys. If you're stressed, then you're not grateful. If you're functioning from a state of gratitude, then you're not stressed. Okay. There's another piece of the puzzle. You can incorporate all of these practices into your calendar, but there's another piece of the puzzle that if you don't address it, you will still be functioning from that fight or flight state more often than not. The other piece of the puzzle is the identity work. You need to learn to become someone who lives grounded. Okay. Again, this is work I've done in the past couple of years. Best thing I've ever done for myself, the best gift I could have given to myself. This is when we do identity work, it is some of the most transformational work you can do, you guys. It is deep work, really deep work. Our identity is literally everything. It's how we show up every day. If you don't shift who you believe you are, then these practices, they won't stick. Like I said before, you can incorporate all the practices I just shared with you, but if you don't change who you believe you are, they're not going to stick. You're carrying an old identity. You might be carrying the identity of, I'm someone who hustles. I earn my worth through doing. Rest is lazy. If I slow down, I'm going to fall behind. That's an old identity that you need to leave at the door. And you should want to embrace this new identity. The new identity should be, I'm someone who is grounded, calm, and at peace. Rest is productive. My worth is inherent. I thrive when I'm regulated. That needs to become your new identity. And you can't just say these things once and say, okay, that's my new identity. You need to be saying these things on repeat consistently every single day for an average of like 30 to 60 days to really shift that identity. I think actual research says 75 days. So 2.5 months. Okay. If this is something that you are interested in doing, let's break it down how to do this identity work real quick. So first off, name the old identity and release it. I'm someone who believes I have to hustle to be successful. I'm going to release it. How can you do that? Journal. Who have I been? What beliefs about rest, productivity, and worth have I been carrying? Get it all out, guys. Get it all out. Word dump on paper. Acknowledge it. And then after you acknowledge it, practice gratitude for it. Thank it for trying to protect you. It played a role. That role was to protect you. Now it's time to release it. Say out loud, that's not who I am anymore. That's not who I am anymore. I deny those thoughts now. Then the next step is define the new identity. So now take the journal back out. Who am I becoming? What does the grounded, regulated version of me believe? How does she move through the world? And just word dump to your answers to these questions. Get really specific, you guys, okay? When you're word dumping, get really specific. And then take everything you wrote and put it into present tense, like in the form of affirmations. So, for example, I am someone who prioritizes rest. I am someone whose nervous system is regulated. I am someone who trusts that I am safe. And again, make these a part of your daily routine. Habitually tell these to yourself. When you identify that new identity and it becomes a part of your daily routine, what you then need to practice doing is embodying this new identity daily. So, what does this look like? Well, literally every decision you make is, do I want to show up as the grounded version of me or the old version of me? What does that grounded version of me do? Practice that. Embody that version of you. Even if she's not fully here yet, practice it as if it is. And then ask yourself, would the grounded, regulated version of me say yes to this? Would the grounded, regulated version of me skip rest? Would she hustle through exhaustion? You need to start making choices that align with who you are becoming, not the old identity. Okay. Those behaviors you're going to leave at the door. And like I said before, use these daily affirmations to rewire your subconscious. Examples like rest is productive and necessary. My worth is not tied to my productivity. I'm safe when I slow down. Being grounded is my natural state. I thrive when I'm calm and regulated. Repeat these daily. Say them even when you don't believe them yet. Just say them anyways. The more you say them, the more your mind is going to take them in and start to believe them. Even if you don't believe them yet, your subconscious is still listening. Even if your ego thinks it sounds ridiculous, your subconscious is still taking it in. That's all that matters. And then as you go on from there, I want you to celebrate every moment where you choose regulation over hustle. So notice when you say no to something because you're protecting your energy and celebrate it. Send a quick voice memo to a girlfriend and be like, oh my God, I just said no to something that would have literally depleted me. Have accountability buddies who can celebrate these wins with you. Notice when you rest instead of push. And when you do that, honor it. In full transparency, before I came down to record this, I had that moment of like, I should actually tell myself to rest. I should actually honor rest right now. When in reality, I'm going downstairs to do a quick podcast recording where I'm talking about honoring rest. Trust me, that's not lost on me. I realize the dichotomy there and I'm not super proud of it. Start honoring rest, okay? Instead of pushing through, start honoring it. Literally every small choice you make to honor rest is rewiring your brain and then reinforcing that new identity. Okay. So when you choose regulation, when regulation becomes your new normal, there's a shift that happens. And you'll notice this. It's not immediately, but over time, you'll start to notice it. You're going to feel more calm, even when life is chaotic. This is my favorite. Like, I notice this in myself a lot. When my husband is functioning from this fight or flight state and I'm sitting there calmly taking it in, that's a sign to me that I don't function from that state anymore. You'll also notice the shift because you'll make better decisions because you're no longer operating from that stress or fear place. So, like, I have no problem now saying no socially and I don't feel guilty and I don't care if it's disappointing people. I'm making choices for my livelihood ultimately. You don't have to like that. You don't have to agree with it, but I'm living my life for me, not for anybody else. And I'm really proud of myself for that's my new normal. That's the state I function from every day now. Feels really fucking good. You'll also notice that you have more energy, okay? Because you're not burning it all on survival mode anymore. So you have more energy to burn, which for me, like I'm more of a present mom. That's where all that energy goes now. You'll also notice that you'll be more creative. You feel more intuitive and you're more connected to yourself and the higher version of yourself as well. That's my favorite too. I have become so much more connected to my intuition. I freaking love it. You also will attract better opportunities because your energy is now more magnetic, not desperate. When you're in that fight or flight state, more often than not, there's a desperate energy tied to that. It's icky. And you're pushing opportunities away when you're functioning from that state. But you attract better opportunities when you're in that magnetic, peaceful state. And also, you're going to feel more present with yourself, more present with your family, with your work, with your life in general. Those are all signs that a shift is happening, you guys. So, specifically in your business, when you are regulated, you work smarter, not harder. Love that. That's a win. You're more strategic. You can trust yourself more, therefore, you make better decisions. And if you're in a service based business, your clients or patients can literally pick up on your groundedness. That's what I love about this being my new normal. My therapy clients pick up on my groundedness. It is the best feeling. They literally will point out to me, like, I don't know, I just feel lighter around you. It literally draws them in, you guys. It's beautiful. In your life, when you stop living in that survival mode and start living more from that rest and digest state, you actually are enjoying life more because you don't feel guilty for resting anymore. You experience more joy, more gratitude. It literally is a gift to yourself. It feels like coming home, you guys. It's a pretty beautiful feeling. Because a regulated nervous system is literally the foundation for everything else. You cannot build a thriving life on a dysregulated foundation. You just can't. Okay, if this sounds like work you need to do, give yourself permission. Tell yourself, I don't have to earn rest anymore. I don't have to prove I'm worthy of being grounded. I don't have to hustle to deserve peace. Because here's the truth, rest is not a reward for hard work. It's a requirement for being human. We should be required to rest, you guys. And I know this is not your fault. I know you've been conditioned by society, but here's the deal. And here's the challenge. Society will tell you that slowing down makes you weak, that it makes you lazy or less than. You need to know and start believing that that is all a lie. It's a lie designed to keep you exhausted and controllable. That ends here. I challenge you to bring an end to that. Choose to be grounded, choose to be regulated, choose to be at rest in a world that literally glorifies hustle. Choose those rest and digest states, you guys. It's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Being grounded is not passive. It's powerful. It's where clarity comes in. It's where creativity, you tap more into that creativity. And then as a result of all of that, you feel more confident. You get more confidence in yourself. It's literally like a superpower that you get to tap into. I'm saying this from experience. It's where my confidence has come from. Okay, to bring this to a close, I just want to remind you, again, you cannot create a thriving life if you're constantly functioning from a stressed, regulated nervous system. You guys, regulation is not optional. It needs to be your new foundation. What's that going to look like for you? How are you going to make that your new normal? I gave you some tools earlier. What are you going to pick from that list? Choose 2 or 3, start incorporating them. Do the identity work. If you want someone to do it with, set up a clarity call with me. We can do a one and done coaching call. I can help you with this. Literally, it is time for you to give yourself permission to slow down, to rest, to make groundedness the new normal for you. Not someday, not next Monday, not this weekend, not over the next vacation. Now, make it your new normal now, you guys. Your nervous system is literally waiting for you to come home. So here's your challenge for today's episode. This week, I want you to practice just one regulation tool daily. Just one. Go back to the list I gave you earlier. Pick one. Practice it daily. And every time you choose rest over hustle, I want you to say this. This is who I am now. This gets to be my new identity every time. Every time you choose rest over hustle, this is who I am now. This is my new identity. Okay. That's all I have for you guys. I would love to hear if you take this advice to heart and you run with it. DM me, tell me how it's going for you. Tell me what's one thing you're prioritizing right now that is going to get you to function for more of that rest and digest state every day. What's one way you're prioritizing nervous system regulation this week? Share it with me, DM me, email me. And if you know of others in your life that are definitely functioning from that hustle mode day in and day out, share this episode with them. I can think of a dozen people off the top of my head right now that need to hear this. So I'm sure you can think of people in your life too. Send them this episode, you guys. You're giving them the gift of peace, of nervous system regulation. And if you want to take this a step further and learn more about this, subscribe to my weekly newsletter. It's one email a week. I'm not going to spam you. One a week. We go a lot deeper on these topics. Okay. And besides that, if you're not following me on social media, make sure you are. And if today's episode really struck a chord with you, if I really called you out on something that you needed to be called out on, maybe consider my coaching program. Maybe that would be good for you. At least check it out. See if it feels good. All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for being such loyal supporters. And I know this is airing in February, but because I'm recording it on New Year's Eve, Happy New Year. I hope at the time that you're listening to this, you're still staying consistent with your goals, with your intentions. All the love, you guys, all the love and gratitude for all of your support. And I'm just so excited to see what this year brings for all of you. All right. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Bye.